Hello everyone. My name is Sherilyn Fletcher. I'm the senior pastor of Life Changes Outreach Church Incorporated, located in Melbourne, Florida. I'm excited to be with you. I just want to take time to tell you a little about myself. I want you to get to know me because I know that there are some things that I'm able to share that I can help. Because if God has done it for me, then I know He will definitely do it for you. I was born to the late Cleveland and Charlotte McKenzie. I'm the eighth child. I have seven brothers, and my sister's the eldest child, and then six boys, then me, and then my last baby brother. And I was privileged to be born in a family where my mom believed in Christ and she was adamant about her salvation and serving God. So I grew up in the church. Didn't understand a lot of it, but nonetheless, I grew up in the church. My life has been challenging. I've been through so many things. As many of you listening today, you've had your challenges, and sometimes some people bounce out, and some people remain there, and some people die in the state that they're in. But I'm grateful that the Lord has given me a ministry to help to set the captive free. I'm called to interject fundamental darkness with the light of Christ. My aim is to see foundational darkness eradicated by shining the light of Christ. And all I'm here to do, my mission and aim, is to lift up Jesus for the world to see. Now, that sounds kind of trivial, but the truth is, when you have been imprisoned and in chain, and you've been in bondages and in addictions, and so many things has gone on in your life, when you are free and God has given you the opportunity not just to be free, but to share your testimony, it is so amazing. The freedom is unexplainable. It's like, when they say it's like it's a Kodak moment, a moment where you have to be there. Well, I want to tell you a little more about myself. As I said, I was born in Nassau, the Bahamas, and I truly love helping people. I remember I was about 10 years old, and the Sunday school teacher, she was saying this story. She was giving us this story about Dorcas. And the way she told the story of Dorcas, man, she made it came to life. It came to life the way she told that story. And she said how Dorcas was helping people, and how Dorcas sewed clothes and was sewing clothes for the children, and how she fed the poor. And Dorcas died. And when she died, everyone was sad. Well, that's really all I remember about the story. And as I grew older, I realized that this story that she told was only two verses, maybe three verses in the Bible. And I was like, wow, she drew such a vivid picture that I thought that it was a whole chapter, an entire chapter about Dorcas. Well, I remember going home as a child, and I knelt on the bed and I began crying and said, Lord, I want to be like Dorcas. I want to be like Dorcas. I cried maybe about an hour or more. And I just cried there and said, Lord, I want to be like Dorcas. Well, it didn't just start where it was poof, I became like Dorcas. No, I went through a whole lot of changes in my life. And my story is not hidden. I'm very transparent, because one of the things that really kept me from embracing Christ and coming to the church was because, I would hear testimonies like, I've been saved all my life, I've been running for my life, and I look back, and, so it painted a picture that one had to be perfect. And I didn't realize that I could not attain that without Christ. And so I gave up so many times. I would come back and then I would give up because I could not understand how everybody else was living so perfectly. So I thought, but yet I was struggling. And so one of the things that really caught my attention was when Jesus himself, one day I was in the bar room in a disco, and I remember it's like my eyes opened and I was wondering, like, what am I doing here? As if the Savior visited me that day. He visited me and I just never went back. But before that, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back. So I started out, and, I was in a home which was, as I talked about in my books, and I will introduce you to my books later. And I talked about in my books of how I grew up, and we were very poor. We were, I mean, wow. I tell people that we were so poor that the roaches, there was no roaches there because there was nothing to eat. So they moved out. They were like, nah, we can't stay with this family. We're going to suffer. So they moved out. We didn't have rats because there was really, really nothing to eat. Every day was a struggle to put meal on the table to feed us. But my mom did a really great job. My father was there, but she would tell people that she was a living widow. I never heard that, but she was a living widow, and so she did really good, really well, trying to provide food for her children and shelter, and that sometimes was not easy, but nonetheless, she did the best she could. So we grew up I grew up in mostly rejection, a lot of negative words, and it was difficult really trying to know who you are and have that self esteem. And oh my God, it was just toxic, but it's what we knew. So we would call one another names, and there was never anything pleasant to say or anything that was uplifting from, out of our parents. Mommy wasn't a bad person, but there was nothing, she would do her best. But that love or that hug or that, you can do it, or that encouragement from the parents or from my brothers was nowhere near there. Okay, so you just was there, and I was always crying. I cried myself to sleep because I just felt like I was hated. I felt um, I didn't belong. I felt like nobody cared and nobody loved me. And of course, my mom, as a child, I could not understand that because she was working hard trying to provide food. So we were left with the oldest sister, and so while she was out there, my father would go to sea because he was a fisherman and he was a mechanic. He would go to sea sometimes for months. And so when we do see him, it'd be for a short time. And then he'd go back to sea. And most times he didn't bring his money home because, of course, we have outside siblings. So nonetheless, it was a toxic home. But yet, my mom believed in God, and I thank God for the foundation, because if I didn't have this the fundamental truth to who God is or who Christ is, I don't think I would be sitting here today talking to you about the Lord, or expressing how sharing my testimony. Let's put it like that. They're sharing my testimony. And so I became, at a very young age, I was very promiscuous. And of course, from being promiscuous, going from promiscuous, my mom she held a tight ship. So it was when I get from school, I had to get home. It was church and school and home. So it was nothing going out with friends, or we weren't allowed to have friends. Friends weren't allowed to come over. We were not allowed to go over to friends. So if we're not playing with, if I didn't play with my brothers, who was always beating me up, or putting me in a boxing match with my baby brother, then I had to play to myself, because again, my sister was the oldest, and so she had married and moved out. So here it is now. I think after I graduated, my brother, one of my brothers, he's older than I am, and he said to my mom, he wanted to get me to go to this disco. I've never now remember, I didn't know the world out there. I didn't know anything. Okay. I was for the taking. Okay. I was so gullible. I was for the taking. And so, because of course you couldn't talk to your parents about birds and the bees and ask them questions about anything. If you did, you were fresh, or, you need to sit down, or don't worry about that, things of that nature. So anyway, we went, and so he convinced my mom, and he lied to her that we were going to a church birthday party. And it took him about almost maybe 2 hours or more. I don't remember, but it took him a very long time to convince her. And she finally said yes. Sometimes I wish she had just said no, because that night began my downward spiral. That night began my dark place. I thought I was in darkness, but that night was where darkness really began in my life. And I remember going to the disco. The first disco I went in was Waterloo. And I had never seen people dancing and drinking. It was like a whole new world. Okay. I was like, what is this? And they tried to give me drinks, and I was like, oh, that thing tastes nasty. And I remember, I think it was my brother, one of his friends said, don't worry, you'll acquire the taste. And I was like, acquired a taste? What does that mean? Oh, I can never acquire the taste for that. That's horrible. That's awful. But yes, eventually they were right. And me going, so from that night I went, my mom could not stop me from going. That was it. I was going to the disco. Before that, though, before I started going to the disco, I had gotten pregnant. Immediately coming out of high school, I was pregnant. I already had my little girl. And so my mom still held a tight ship because I was still young. And so that's when I started to go out. And so I wasn't taking care, I would take care of my baby, make sure she was okay. But I would always leave her to, go out. I discovered a new world, an excitement, something to numbing the pain and the rejection and the insecurity and all the things I was feeling. I found something that took me away, that made me feel good about myself. So I started to party every night. I started to go and drink every night. Every night I was drinking. I had no regards for my body, no regards for who I was. I just wanted to be free. I didn't know the way to freedom. I thought this was the way to freedom, but it certainly wasn't. And so shortly after going to Waterloo, I met this young man, and he told me he loved me. Like I said, I was for the taking. I was for the taking. He wanted to marry me. I didn't know him about 6 months, and we got. I remember my friend was telling me, "Don't marry him," but I was so excited to get out of that house, man. I wanted to get out of the house, and the Lord was really with me. And so I moved out, we got married, I moved out of the home. But let me tell you, that marriage, we got married on October the 29th. I think that's the date. And before December, he was gone. And it, man, he was just beating me up for no reason. He was so angry. And I remember him saying, I only marry you to get back at my girlfriend. His girlfriend had lied to him and said that the child was his. And but 3, 4 years into the relationship, he found out that the child was not his. And so he wanted to get back at her, and he used me. And I was for the taking. And so he left. And here I was pregnant with my second child. Oh my God, I was so suicidal. I was so depressed. I drank all the time, 24/7. For those of you drinking all, I understand. No one understands. They don't know. You just you don't want to live in reality. You just want to stay numb. You just want to stay in that place, even though it might not feel good, and there's so many things going on, but that's a safe place when you're going through so much and you have no answers and you have no one to explain to you, and all around you seem to be negative and you just don't know what else to do. I was suicidal, man. I just was, you know, I just wanted to know, why was I even why was I alive? What good am I being born? And I used to really think that, we were some lab rats and God was just there, making fun and seeing if we're able to survive. I just had so many thoughts. I could not understand why I was born or why I was here. I just felt like I was here to be punished, and it was just a downward spiral. So that marriage didn't ended really quickly. I went home. I was married. Sorry, I was pregnant, and I was very suicidal. And my friends had some really great friends, and they were there. They would call me every day. They would take me out, but I was so suicidal. And they would watch me, and I wanted to had an abortion, but they didn't want me to do that. So they was just always there. They was there until I had the baby. And I'm telling you, that was a long, tedious, stressful pregnancy. I'm glad listen, only God had me in my right mind, because I contemplated killing myself many times. I was pregnant. I was still in the disco. I used to go to the disco with my belly. I was still drinking. I drank so much with this child. I was so depressed with this child. And the crazy part, like I said, I was up for the taking. My husband, my ex-husband now, he would call every morning and he would just curse me out. And I would look forward to the call and listen, because it made me feel like he was interested. He called, cursed me out, tell me all sorts of nasty things, and then he hangs up the phone. And every morning I would answer the phone. Yeah, just like that, like like a silly child or silly person, and I would just answer the phone. And when the child was born, one day he said, "It's the baby born." I said, "Yes." He came, look at the baby. Oh, she don't look like me, and he left. Okay, so it was a long, tedious time, and I want to speed up the process because I don't want to bore you because there's so many things that I want to share. And so I went on and I was partying. And listen, I was partying. I was, listen, when I tell you I was partying, I was partying. I partied. I was promiscuous. I was sleeping around. I didn't know my identity. I didn't know my worth. I didn't know that what I had was valuable. I just thought in my mind that, hey, maybe if this, and there's so many people, if I give him my body, he would love me. And I really thought that. Even though I had seven brothers and a father, they never validated me. They abused me verbally and physically. So that's what I knew. And that's what I became, I became um, used to. And so what I was expecting. And so from relationship to relationship, it was downward spiral. It was just, it became worse. And I remember before I leave the church, I told people, I said I would never go back to church. I told people that I would serve Satan for the rest of my life, and alcohol is my boyfriend, and I meant it. And I was serious about it because I was just in so much pain. I was angry. I mean, if you said, I was like a time bomb. If you said the right words, I'm telling you, I would explode. I was just really angry. And so my second marriage, I met my husband, of course, in the bar room. And he was a friend of some of my friends who I partied with. And I met him. He was like a year younger than I am, and so we decided that we wanted to get married. I always wanted to get married because I figured, I didn't want to have sex illegal. So I thought that getting married was a good thing. My parents would be proud of me. Everyone would see that, hey, there's something good coming out of Sherry. Something good coming out of her. But that second marriage was just even worse, even worse than the first. Okay. And so we got married, and the minute we got married, he quit his job. And he decided that he was going to stay home because I was, even though I was a mess, I was very ambitious. So I built my home when I was about 21. I had an apartment when I was about 21. I didn't go to the bank, but I had a home. So I was still striving. I was always ambitious. I had opened a preschool. I used to do teaching people how to type, typing schools. I was always an entrepreneur, but I didn't stay with anything because I was just so unstable, trying to find my niche, trying to find who I was. And I remember, I guess, after I started depression so much, one day I came home. It was Mother's Day. I'll never forget it. Mother's Day 2001. I came home from church because he used to go to church with me before we got married, and he was into that. And after we got married, church became like So because I was trying to get my way back to God, and every time I tried to get my way back to God, it was an obstacle, and I would just forget it, and I would just go back to what I was doing. And so I found that he left. He didn't say anything. He threw my keys through the door, took all his stuff, and did not say a word, did not call back. And you guessed it, I was pregnant again with my third child now. Very depressed. I didn't drink. I was in church. I didn't drink as much. I don't think I drank at all. But I was just very, very depressed. And so I didn't want to go to my mom's church. I went to one of the other churches in the same organization. And, I was there and I met a young man. He was saved. But, at this time, after my second husband had left, I remember I was working in doing insurance, but I also had a side job at Lickety Split as a manager. And I remember going in the bathroom and kneeling on my knees. And I said, God, I want to dedicate my life totally to you. I don't want nobody else in my life. I said, God, this is it. I don't want to marry again. I just want you to keep me. And if you keep me, I will serve you and I will do whatever you want me to do. I just want to serve you. I just want to see other people free. I don't want anyone else. And I remember fasting and praying on this and say, God, I am giving you me. I want you to take all of me. I want you to have 100% of me, because I was tired. I was just tired of all the lies and the mistreatment. And I was just tired of all the abuses. And so I made up my mind that I would just, I would just live for Jesus, preach the gospel, because I love helping people. I love to see people free. I love to teach. I love children, and I love the elderly, and I truly love the Lord, and I love his people. So I figured, if not because things happen to me, that they should happen to others. I figured if I can find a way to tell people and to share my testimony and to give them some foundational truth, the truth will make them free, and to help them through the process, not just giving them the foundational truth, but helping them to understand and to apply it to their lives so that they can be free. And so I remember my third husband. He was saved. He was a man of God. He was awesome. And I remember he was like a mentor to me. So we would talk, and I would call him if my baby gets up in the night. I had a baby then, my daughter, third child, and I would get up in the night and I would call him, and I wasn't even thinking about him. I was just asking him questions about things like tithing, and I was curious about the word of God, and I felt comfortable asking him, and he would just share, and he would take time to teach me. And I remember I said to him, I said, and if I had a dream or vision, I'd be sharing him. I said, the Lord told me that you're my husband. I said, but that's maybe the devil. That don't make any sense. And he said, okay, no problem. And so I think he went and he prayed and he came and he said, yeah, the Lord said, I'm your husband. I said, but that don't make no sense, because I told the Lord I wanted to be alone. And I couldn't embrace it. I couldn't accept it, but nonetheless, we got married. It was beautiful. We grew together. We prayed together. We studied together. We read together. But then he died a year later, having the seizure. And of course, I had my son. My son was 5 months when his father died. And that was a great loss for me. Man, I cried so much. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, God, so you send me someone good and then you just take them away. Like, do you hate me this much? What did I do for you to hate me so much? Why are you punishing me like this? Sometimes we ask that question, Lord, are you punishing me? What did I do? Could you help me understand? Is it my past sins? What is it? And I could not understand for a very long time. I felt so lost. I felt, oh my God, like I'd just been thrown into cold water. I just felt I was just like a zombie for many, 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 many years. And in 2005 was when I moved here in America with my children. I remember with 5 kids. My oldest daughter did not want to come, so me and the 5 kids, we moved here, and it was not easy. It was a struggle, which you'll hear more about my story in detail. It was a struggle for me. And then some 7 years later, I got married again. And this time the marriage was, well, don't look like I'm ever going to find anyone. So, well, I'll just marry anybody. I want to stay free, because in the midst of all that, I still had this sexual problem. And I want to share with you, I want to share with you in my book, Flawed to Masterpiece. It talks about me as a pastor when I first started pastoring. And I still had a problem with the sheets. I had a problem, I had a sexual problem. I didn't understand, and it was frustrating because I felt like a hypocrite. I reached out for help. I asked people for help. I asked pastors, apostles, leaders. People would pray for me and say, I'm healed. But I knew deep down inside that something was wrong. So this book is a good read. It tells my journey, and it also tells about my deliverance and how I got free. So if you are having that problem in any type of sexual perversion, please, this is a great read for you. You can find it on Amazon, or you can find it on my website that is below. And so the fourth marriage, I knew that we were not, he's a Christian, but I knew that he was not the one for me, but I was afraid. See, after I got delivered, I was afraid. See, I didn't understand that the Bible says that he will keep you from falling, but I didn't believe that. I was so afraid that I would mess up again. I was afraid that, oh my God, ooh, I have this sexual problem. So I know I was delivered, but I didn't know anything about deliverance. Okay, I knew that these evil spirits had gone, but I was afraid that they would come back and I would sin again. And I didn't want to sin against God. And so I did what I thought was necessary, and that was we'll talk about that in more details. That was very please, people. I want to say to you, don't get married for sex, or get married because you feel like you're alone, or you feel like you're old, or your biological clock is ticking. Wait on the Lord. Hear me? Wait on the Lord, because it can cause so much mental damage, and you'll be better off alone than to be with someone you know you're not compatible with. And I also wrote my second book, which is called Why Did You Marry Me? And I sell a lot of copies of this. I sell about over 1,000 copies so far. And it tells about my journey, my journey with my four marriages, but also tells about the relationship I had between the marriages. So there are the stories in here about the men that I did not marry that wanted to marry me, but I didn't. Okay, because it didn't tell you about the other all of my children. So there are more stories in this book. This is a great read. It's very transparent. I'm telling you, it is rated R. It's very transparent, and this is my truth. And I want why do I tell my truth? Because this is the way the Lord uses me. Transparency is what people need. I've had so many people email me and talk to me through the back door and say, wow, I don't know, I can't do that. I'll take my secrets to the grave. That's fine. That's just not me. And I'm glad I did, because I got a deeper healing and a deeper level of healing. And so I'm just really, really excited about these books. So you can find them on Amazon, CreateSpace, Lulu, or you can find them on my website. So order your copy if you're thinking about getting married, or if you're already married, because I also have prayer points in here, and I have questionnaires in here for those who are getting married. So it's for them. Those who are getting married, those who are married, it's for all, the single and the married, men and women. It has a lot of truths in here and things that will help you. It helped a lot of people and opened their eyes, and they were able to ask each other the questions, and they were able to ask that question. Yes, why did you marry me? Some people were able to ask that question, or why do you want to marry me? So these are things that, and I am grateful and honored the Lord for affording me the privilege to write this book. So for a long time, I suffered rejection, like I talk about, phobias, insecurity, anxiety. I had social anxiety, y'all. I could not, and I used to tell people, like, I'm not good socially, but I just thought I was not good socially. I didn't feel like I was smart enough to talk, with everyone, or I may not understand the conversation, or they may say something. So I didn't realize it was social anxiety, where felt that people would judge me, and I would literally, I would start breathing, and my heart would start beating, because if I had to go to a function that was not a church function, oh my God, forget it. I would just, I'll be a wreck. Okay. But I had to learn these things, and I had to learn my self-worth. Was it easy? It was not easy. And there are moments that I still have to remind myself of who I am. I still have to remind myself of who God has made me to be. I'm here for you. I'm here to let you know that the journey is not going to be easy, but together we'll be able to do it, because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I want you to know today, I want you, not just a day, but every time I'm coming to share the truth, the foundation and fundamental truth, I want you to know the sincerity of my heart. I want you to be infused by the time you leave this channel, and I want you to be victorious in everything that you do. So I want you to understand that I'm here for you, to share and to help you. Deliverance and healing is the children's prayer. Deliverance and healing is the children's prayer. Jesus' ministry was about deliverance, but not just deliverance and casting out demons and you bringing up stuff. No, it's about teaching the truth. It's the truth that's going to set you free. It's about teaching, helping your body, your soul, and your spirit, your tripod. So if I'm helping you and you're casting out the demons and your mind is not right, I'm doing you a disservice. So we have to deal with the body, soul, and spirit. So even as the evil spirits are cast out, now we have to work on the mind, and then we have to work on being disciplined. All of this is a part of deliverance. All of this is a part of us understanding or healing, as you might want to call it. Healing is a part of healing, the healing process. And so I am so grateful today. I didn't share, but I just wanted to just drop in for you to know and get to know who I am. Again, my name is Apostle Sherilyn Fletcher. I am the eighth child of 9 children born to the late Cleveland and Charlotte McKinsey. I'm the senior pastor of Life Changes Outreach Regiment, located here in Melbourne, Florida. And thank you for listening. And listen, there's going to be so much more that the Lord will help me to share. God bless you. Until next time, please subscribe to my channel and look for the notification. I'll be putting out new information each and every week so that we can stay connected. God bless you. Until next time.